for some people, I think.
Ooh.
So I think I just want to put out a disclaimer that
If you're easily offended. No, I'm just kidding.
no, it's not. We're not intentionally trying to be offensive. We're just trying to be honest and transparent. And
we're going to touch on topics that we want to talk about and then that you guys want to talk about, especially because I don't know. I don't want to hold back on who we said we were going to be. We were going to speak the truth. We were going to give our opinions.
yeah, we never hold back. But I think this topic is a little touchy with some people, especially if you have kids. Not necessarily with people without kids. I think those people are like, fuck it, I don't care. I don't know. That's just my take on it. But I think people with kids may be a little bit more sensitive to the topic. So just keep an open mind when you're listening. Don't take offense to anything that we say. This is just coming from our own experiences and experiences from other people that have let us know what their thoughts were.
Yes. So this topic is going to be on both ends. You guys know me and Mel are very open, and we've talked about I'm the mom and the wife. I'm married here. So I have that perspective that is coming from. And even though we're not living the same lives, I think that's what makes this podcast as amazing as it is.
Yeah.
Because we share different perspectives. And I'm coming from the perspective of being a mom, a teen mom at that, and now being married. And I have a blended family. I have 2 stepsons, you know. And so I think those aspects of my life kind of can generate a little bit of that discussion where you kind of can see both sides from my side and then now from your side as being the child-free one.
Yeah, and I think the experiences are going to be completely different because you as a teen mom, you in your early adulthood, you were busy being a mother, you know, where I was probably in college living it up, you know. So we had 2 totally different experiences where when your child finally comes of age to be like left alone, not left alone, but like left with a babysitter or something, you want to get out and party. And by that time, I'm like, nah, girl, I'm here drinking my wine. I don't want to be partying. You know, like I think those are 2 experiences that I see with my friends because they all were young mothers.
Yeah.
Where like right out of high school or right into college, they were having kids. And I was left alone of like, all right, I don't have any friends to go to the club with. So what am I going to do? Nothing. So, you know, and then their kids come of age to be able to spend their times alone. And it's like, let's go out to party. I'm like, nah, no, thank you. I am not the club type. I am not the bar type. I just like, let's go to a wine bar, come over and we'll have some wine or like, you know, watch TV or something. That's just not my lifestyle anymore. But I get it. I get it because they didn't get to experience that, which I don't know, like that's where our differences can come in, where I feel like the person with kids is like, well, you don't want to hang out with me. And it's like, well, I've already experienced this. I don't want to experience it again at this age. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think that's where I come from.
Yeah.
Like, have you experienced the same with like, you know, being a teen mom and like you wanting to get out and have freedom and stuff? Or were you able to like get that out of your system at an early age?
Let's pull back a little bit real quick before we jump into this.
Okay.
So we ask you guys all the time to bring us topics. And this topic came from our friend, shout out Crystal, for bringing up this topic of her wanting to hear this side of things. But to go back to your question, you asked what again? Just so I can make sure.
Like, did you ever feel like when your kid was old enough to be with the babysitter or like when you became of age to like want to go out or you finally felt the freedom to like, okay, I can leave my kid for a little bit. I want to go out to the club or I want to go to party and stuff. And then like your child-free friend was like, nah, fam, I ain't about that life anymore. You're like, really? Or have your friends always been like, yeah, let's go out to party. Let's do this. Like, yeah, you're finally child-free. Like, let's go do it. Or you're kid-free tonight or whatever.
That's such a good question. And, you know, because I was a teen mom, I felt like I just did miss out on a lot of things. And not necessarily because I was restricted of it, because that was not really the case for like when me and, you know, my daughter's dad were together, because he did kind of give me that freedom. But I think like once the reins got a little bit loose on, go out with your friends, then I was like buck wild. You know what I mean? Like you give me a little bit of leash and I'm gone.
Yeah.
Like at
Yeah.
that age, because I was like, hey, all my friends are now going to clubs. And mind you, we've talked about this in like a previous episode where I had mentioned like how I was like 15, 16 at clubs.
Yeah.
Like, so I started my party life very young when I wasn't
True.
supposed to. So, I mean, it was just a little bit hard on that side of things. And it was the FOMO for me. You know, a lot of it was the FOMO for me. And so now that I think about it back then, I think a little bit of like that restriction that of me being a teen mom, and I felt like, quote unquote, I didn't get to live my life. It was more or less what kind of led to that separation, because I wanted to keep going out. And he was like, no, that's just not for me. Like, I just want to stay home and be with you guys. And I look back on that, and yeah, like I should have, my priorities weren't straight. You know, I wasn't like, I'm not going to be here and sit like I was the perfect mom all the time. And I'll be honest that I did want to go out and party. I was barely, 18 when my daughter was getting older. And a lot of my friends were at clubs and going out and doing this and doing that. And that FOMO was real.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that separation is what led ultimately, because I was like, you know what, if I can't do it with you, I'd just rather do it without you and like just not have someone tell me what to do type of mentality at that time. Because now I look at it, I'm like, come on, like you could have probably done a little bit more, but so could have he, to kind of like make things work. But it is what it is. So in that way, yeah, it was a lot of that. And luckily I did have friends that were still like, yes, Liz can come out and party now. Because, sometimes I feel like I'm the life of the party. I don't know.
You are. You really are. Like, and you know it too. No, but like going back to like the discussion of how like somebody brought up this topic or wanted to talk about this topic was because sometimes as somebody who is child free and you're around most of your friends, like, we're mid-30s and most of your friends have kids. And so you're in a room full of people with kids and, they're having this conversation talking about their kids, which is great. That's fine. But it's like you sort of feel out of place if you're like, let me drink my wine because you like have like you can't relate to anything in the conversation. So it feels kind of left out. And so like I told her too, I was like, girl, I just kind of like tell people you have no idea how much fun being child free is. I have more money. I can like spend it on however I want. I have more freedom. I can do whatever I want. I could do this, that, or whatever, which it makes me feel better to say that. It doesn't necessarily mean it's true, but like, I think, and it's probably not the right thing to say, but it makes me feel better because I'm like, well, I kind of want that lifestyle too, to have kids. It sounds so stupid now that I say it out loud, but it's like,
stupid.
It's like, I want kids, but I think for me, I have to, for me to convince myself to enjoy this lifestyle, like, or this life of being child free, I have to say those things for me to like be okay with the idea of not having kids. But there are people who choose not to be, or who choose to be child free.
Right.
And that's okay too.
And those are valid feelings, and those are valid ways of like validating yourself in the life that you're in now, is being able to say, well, even though I don't have kids, like, let me say this is the reason why I don't. And these are the pros as to why, because a lot of people, and mostly a lot of society says like, why you don't have kids, there must be something wrong with you, or you must be the issue, or like you're way past your time, quote unquote. Like I think it's also that societal pressure that is like, you should have kids by now, why don't you? So for you to not have to introduce that conversation or have it brought up, you're like, you know what, I'm living my best life. Your opinion of how I'm living my life has like zero output as to why I decide to live this way. What has been like the toughest conversation you've had with someone to be like, you know what, you don't invalidate me just because I'm not having a child? Have you ever had that conversation with someone where you kind of have to like check them and be like, you know what, I'm not the issue, or this is not the problem? Like,
I've never had to check anybody, but I think the one thing that comes up is time, is because I do have more freedom and they don't, that they think that I could just up and leave whenever I want. Like if I say nothing, it's like that TikTok trend of like, if I say I don't have nothing going on, that doesn't mean that I want to spend that time with you. It means I have nothing going on because I don't want to do nothing. Like, that's kind of how it feels sometimes.
Yeah.
Of like, just because I say nothing doesn't mean that I can just up and leave. So I'm allowed to say, no, I don't want to spend time with you because you finally have that scheduled time or whatever time to spend with me. What if I don't want to spend it going out? What if I don't want to do stuff like that just because I have more free time? My free time can consist of me laying on my bed watching TV. My free time could be, you know, sitting at the pool or whatever. It doesn't necessarily mean that I have to just, you know, give up my time for your freedom time.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. You know, I've never seen it from that perspective.
Really?
Not in the way that I don't want to, obviously, because I am very aware, and I think like now being self-aware of like how everyone is living their own lives. I think when we're younger, we think we have to be like attached to the hip to be best friends, right? We have to spend every waking moment with each other. Every free time we have to be together. And I think as I got older, I started noticing that like this codependency, and you know how I mentioned in a previous episode, the codependency with my friends was because I didn't have that dependency with like an adult in my life. You know what I mean? So a lot of my friends, I did rely a lot on my friends for a lot of things. So I never saw it as like, well, you don't have anything to do. Like, why can't we hang out? You know, that type of perspective, as to like being like, oh, well, just because she doesn't have anything to do because she doesn't have kids doesn't mean I'm allotted her time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly that.
So
that's where it kind of gets a little, you know, difficult for me, and I've had to learn that, like, just to kind of pull back a little bit because I give so much freedom to my friends and everybody in my life who has kids, who's not child free, that it's always, okay, well, you let me know. You let me know your time. You let me know your schedule. And so I've put it on their plate, but also it's like, no, that's not fair to myself because then that gives them the right to be like, okay, well, she has all this time. She has time for me. And it's like, well, yes and no, you know? No, because I have to allot some of my time for myself. I love that time by myself. I allot my time to my boyfriend. I allot my time to my family. Like, everybody has time with me. So it's like, if you want time with me, you better put it on a schedule. So, and if I can't see you because you're with your kids or your husband or whatever for the next 3 or 5 years, well, then that's when we have to schedule it. I'm sorry. You know, like, I think that's how I feel. Like, and everybody has their own schedule. And, you know, just because I don't have kids or a husband or anything like that, that I'm locked down to whatever kind of lifestyle I have, doesn't mean that I have all this freedom to give to everybody.
Yeah. No, that's so true. I think it's necessary to have the communication both ways too, because some things can feel like for instance, some things can feel like unsaid, and sometimes people, I don't know, maybe to someone that's more self-aware, you don't need to reassure them, but there are people where there's instances that you have to reassure them that like our friendship is still as strong, even if we have kids here, you know what I mean? And like a big portion of that is like, now, like once I had like Ezra, it was so different than me having Audrey. Because I kind of like raised her as a single mom. And then this time I have a partner I can rely on. I have a dad that's hands-on with my kids, that I don't have to be kind of like begging to be like
having that free time.
So now that they're kind of getting a little older, I feel like that pull is like, okay, like now it's me time. So how am I gonna like stretch out the time with my friends? You know what I mean? Because I want to be as like present as a friend as I am as like a partner, you know, and as a mom, because I think my friendships are so important to me. And I think like my loyalty to my friends is just as important as it is to like my partner. So I think the communication has to go both ways. I think that's so important. Do you think like, for instance, you having to set your boundaries and like setting like those like priorities are just as important as like anything with like your partner?
Oh, absolutely. I think him and I mean, I've said this before to my girlfriends of like, I think that's how we mesh well together, is because, you know, he has time. He's an only child, so he has kids too. And, you know, he grew up pretty much by himself, you know, with no siblings or anything. So he he really likes his alone time, as do I. I grew up in a chaotic house where it's like everybody's freaking yelling at each other. There's no fucking privacy. Like, you know, that's just how our lifestyle is. Yeah. And so he likes his alone time, even when he doesn't have his kids. You know, we could sit in a silent room and just like be content. And that's just how it is. Like we like that alone time. We don't always have to be doing something. And so, and I think that's why we like mesh well, because if I'm with a friend and like that's just what we're doing, like they're like, no, we're wasting time. You know, like if you were with somebody that they were like, we're just gonna sit here and just like play on our phones or whatever, then you know, you feel like you're wasting time, like you could be out doing something. But I don't feel like that with him. I feel like it's very comfortable or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. I
have a random question because I came across this TikTok like on my way over here, and it kind of doesn't relate to this topic, so maybe I'll wait for later. But really quickly, what do you think about like the friends who like leave when they're with you because of their partner? This kind of entails that a little bit, because it's like as being married or like maybe as in a partnership. Like,
yeah, and that
we could touch on that really quickly because it kind of does mesh into this conversation a little bit.
It does, because you kind of you lose friendships, not lose them, but there is going to be a time where everybody's going to be doing their same thing. Like you said earlier, like when you have a best friend, you just want to be attached by the hip. Well, that's not going to happen when you grow up and like you get married or you have a boyfriend and you have kids. Right. Like there's going to be some separation at some point. There's going to be a drift, not a drift in the relationship, but like where you're not seeing each other all the time. Yeah. You know, you can, and that's the importance of having a strong friendship, of understanding and communicating with them that, okay, just because, you know, she has a boyfriend, I can't see her anymore, and like she abandoned me. But yeah, it feels like that sometimes when somebody is changing their lifestyle, if they get married, like you feel like you're never going to see them again. And that's why sometimes when girls get married, their best friends are like, well, you're marrying me too, because we're part of the package or whatever, because that's how close they are. And that's fine. And that other partner has to be okay with it. But that just goes into like how the relationships, when you get into a relationship or when you have kids, that sometimes those relationships kind of drift away. Your friendships drift away because they're busy living their own lives. And you have to be okay with that, you know? And it took me a long time, not a long time, but it like took me some time to like just realize and be okay with it. Yeah. That it was never anything I did. I had to be understanding that my friends were like just growing up and they were having kids, and I just had to be okay with it.
Yeah, I agree with that. It just came up and I was like, dang, I don't think I've ever been that friend that would like, my boyfriend's calling me and I gotta leave, like type of, you know, because I think like,
oh, I was.
Were you?
Yeah.
Oh
girl.
My God.
Yeah.
I don't think and I don't have an issue. Like if you do that, do you, boo? Like I'm not gonna tell you no, don't go running to your man because he called you, like, you know. But I don't think I've ever had to have that happen, unless obviously it's an emergency. Yeah. Right? And I think for like the most part on that end, it causes issues, especially if that man is trifling. I'm just saying.
Well, and it could be a new love. It could be something new. It could be something exciting for this other person. And it could be, maybe it's not even jealousy, but sometimes it could be jealousy of like, they don't want to be happy for you. You know what I mean? And that's a whole different conversation. Right. Yeah. But it's like, you just have to be understanding that it's a new relationship. Oh, she's in love. And you can bring up that conversation like, hey, you know, you always spend time with him. I've had friends do it to me. You're always with your boyfriend. Oh, yeah, you're right. I am. And like that can bring you down to earth real quick and be like, dang, I didn't even make time for this person. That sucks because she called me out that I was spending too much time with my boyfriend, which is true. Right. You know, but you don't want to abandon your friends either.
Yeah. Because who's there when he's traveling? No, I'm just kidding. No, and I think that's so important to have those conversations, even as awkward as they can be. And I think, for instance, like as being a teen mom, and I have always wanted to have like mom friends so our kids can play together or even like grow up together. And that hasn't happened for me, which, I mean, I'm not saying like it's a bad thing, like boo-hoo, but like, you know, I kind of wish, because I don't have a lot of mom friends. I have like a handful, but it's not like our kids are like hanging out together or like that type of situation. Probably for the better of things. So I have more child-free friends, which might not be like, I don't know. From the questions we asked, I was really surprised on the answers, because for me, having child-free friends is like, I don't know, y'all are godsends, like, in my opinion, if I'm like being completely honest. Because with you guys, I don't have to always be on like mom mode. I don't have to always talk about my kids. I don't always have to bring up fucking diaper rashes and allergies and what's his milestone? Is he behind? Are you comparing it with other moms? Because oh my god, I've been in mom groups before. It is not like, I do not feel safe in those spaces. Like, is that crazy to say?
No, it doesn't. And like this goes on to how I feel with mom friends. Because I love my mom friends. All my friends are moms, you know, besides just a couple of them. And but like I had told you earlier, was I feel weird being around my mom friends when they're with their kids, because I'm like, I don't know how you parent. Like, what am I allowed to say? You know what I mean? Like, are they allowed to have this candy or not? Like, and that's how I feel. Like, because the mom groups, they all parent differently, right? Yeah. And I don't know what kind of moms you guys are at home. You know, I don't see how you treat your kids or feed your kids or anything like that. Yeah. You know, I'm just gonna be the fun aunt over here, but I also don't want to step over boundaries either. You know, or like say something that's gonna hurt the kid, or he's gonna repeat to somebody. You know, that's how I feel. So I can just imagine how it is in mom groups. Yeah. You know, and I don't even have a kid because I'm like, I don't even know. Like, I just gave him a Jolly Rancher. He's going to choke? Oh, shit. Like, I don't know. He said he wanted it. You know, I can't even imagine how it would be.
Yeah. And even as being a mom, you would think like you already know everything. And apparently you don't. So that was my biggest, like, I don't know. Like, I guess with this conversation coming up, I was like, shit, I can count maybe my mom friends in one hand. Yeah. And I barely see them, you know, we barely hang out type of situation. 'Cause like my closest friends, you guys, I have like 2 out of 3 have kids, don't have kids, you know, that I can like say like you know, my best friend Gabby and like Jen, but her kid's like older, you know, it's like Audrey's age. So like, you know, I guess we can relate on that, but I don't have like friends that I hang out with that are like the same age as like my toddler, like Ezra. I don't know.
It's because you're the cool mom.
I'm the cool mom.
It's because you're the cool mom, and like you're just so open-minded to things that you can be in a room full of people, and like you don't have like you find something that's in common with somebody. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to bring up, like, you can bring up your kids, but it can be so many other different things that you can relate to them on. Yeah. And a lot of people just like, oh, you're a mom. I'm a mom too. Let's like relate on this. And it's like, no, some women are just, they're more than moms. Right. Like they have hobbies, they have interests, they have different things. Like you don't always have to talk about your kids. Yeah. You know?
How do you feel about that though?
When moms talk about their kids? Yeah. Oh, if I'm being honest, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with people talking about their kids, but it's
we're having an open-minded discussion, like dialogue.
But it's not anything like in my mind. It's nothing anything towards kids. It's like the conversation about kids of like, oh, she talked back to me, or she did this, or like I cleaned up this dirty ass diaper, or like, and it's like all the negative stuff, and I'm like, wow, I don't have to take care of myself, you know, like, and you guys want me to have kids? No, thank you, like. Of course I want them, but it's at the same time I'm like, you guys just don't talk about the good things. You talk about the bad things. And it does not convince me to want to have kids. And then the second, you know, and I see you guys again, when are you going to have a baby? It's your turn. Oh, come on. You just talked about you cleaning up shit for the last 5 hours.
You ain't convincing nobody.
You think I want to have kids? No, ma'am. You better come up with different stories because that ain't working.
After you sharing the freaking diaper blowouts and the vomit on you.
Not only that, when you guys talk about birthing children. Whew,
yeah.
How is that convincing me?
It's ghetto.
How is that convincing me? And you know what? I'm positive it's a beautiful experience. But when you're talking to somebody with no children, it doesn't feel like a beautiful experience.
You know, if I'm being honest, birthing...
You can get what I'm saying?
It's ugly. It's so ugly. Like I told you, last episode, right? Where I talked about how like freaking swollen my vag was.
Well, dude. I don't know. I've been watching, what is it, Hulu or something, and there's fucking commercials, and there's this lady that just gives birth, right? And she's wearing that diaper.
Oh, yeah, those mesh diapers?
Yeah, because
Oh
she's
my
using that
God.
Frida thing.
Oh, uh-huh.
What is it? Like you just clean up your vagina or?
Well, some of them like are like pads. That's how big the pad has to be for
Yeah,
how
it's
much
huge.
blood. So,
And I'm seeing her struggle, and I'm like,
or sometimes they have the cold patches that go in
Mm-hmm.
your pad because they help with the swelling and the if you have like stitches, it helps with like the healing.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like I was watching that commercial, and like they don't even show the beautiful baby. They show her struggling on the toilet. Dude.
Good. That's what needs to happen.
That's what I said. I was like, this is the most real fucking commercial I've ever seen.
Exactly.
Thank you. I don't want to wear diapers. No, I'm kidding. But seriously, like, it's different. Like moms who like tell me about, and not just the babies, like pooping in diapers and pooping all over the place. It's like even the young teenagers too that are like talking back, or they don't want to do their homework or whatever. And I'm like,
they stink.
how do you guys? I don't understand how you guys do it.
Their feet stink all the time. It's like BO 24/7 in the house.
I'm like, convince me that's beautiful. Convince me how beautiful it is.
It's a little ghetto, I'm telling you. Like, if I could get paid, maybe that will compensate all the struggles. But, dude, even now, I don't know. Ezra does cute things, and I'm like, oh, you're winning points to be my favorite kid, but I can't have a favorite one. But, you know, there's just moments
you
like
just have
that.
a favorite one during each day of the week.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I only have two, so they kind of, like, fight.
You're my favorite today.
Yeah. No, but I want to share a few of these stories because y'all went in.
Yeah,
and
some of y'all went in.
I am fucking living for the honesty and the truth. And thank you so much for trusting in us and sending us these DMs and having these conversations with us, because I know sometimes, especially this conversation and this topic, like, can be a little like, I know we might get some pushback, like you're not 100% right, or you're not, but I'm speaking from personal experiences, and a lot of these are personal experiences.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of this has to go with an open mind and an open heart to hear that side. And
I can piggyback off of a lot of these because I feel the same way. But again, just reiterating, like, having friends that are either child free or they don't, you know, they have kids or they don't have kids, you can coexist together. You can be friends together. It just takes a lot of, you know, patience and understanding. But yeah. All
right. So we're going to go ahead and read a couple of these because we asked you guys, if you have kids, do you have many child-free friends? And it was like 52 over 48. So almost down the middle was yes, a few. And then the other was not really. And then the next one took me by surprise because if you're child-free, do you have friends who are moms? And I had a lot of them said yes, a few. And then there was like 11% who said not really. So
yeah,
I was a little bit taken back by that.
We're rare, okay?
Let me say why. Because like I mentioned earlier, I have more child-free friends than I have mom friends. So I thought it was going to be a little bit backwards. But I can see where or how understanding child-free friends are. And to me, that's why I said I love my child-free friends, because like I can be just me. I don't have to be mommy 24/7 with them. Like I can go out with you and not have to mention my kids all the damn time. Or I don't have to, you know, talk about them. Like I want to hear about you. Like what do you have going on?
No, let me tell y'all how Liz is, okay? I'd be like, how are the kids? She's like, fuck them kids. I didn't come here to talk about these kids. I'm like, kids. Wow, I was just being a nice friend, a child-free friend.
I was concerned.
I was just wondering how your mental state is with being a stay-at-home mom. Is everything okay? Obviously not.
Obviously, by saying fuck them kids, you know? If you're not with your kids enough to say fuck them kids, like, I don't know what to say. Like, if you're offended by that, I'm sorry. But for real, like, y'all feel me. I hope you do. If you don't, I'm sorry.
I don't say fuck them kids to anybody's kids. I just say it because Liz says it. But I don't really mean that to anybody's kids. I don't, because I don't really have any.
I don't have to be Mom Liz with you guys, and I love that's there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, if you don't know, you don't know. Like, the question that I asked was, if you are child free, oh shit, it changed. If you are child free, is it hard to keep friendships with your mom friends, and why? And let me read these off. It said, yes, because they have to find sitters. I see them once every 3 months. Another one said, no, not really. They make time for themselves, and I love kids, so I ask them to bring them when they can. I haven't had the chance to have any of my own yet, so I kind of live vicariously through them.
Aww.
You're an awesome friend. But let me say this, all right? When I say let's go out somewhere, or you invite me somewhere and you tell me to bring them kids, the fuck no, I'm not going to bring them kids.
I'm the friend that tells them to bring the kids.
I'm like, bitch, no. No.
You have to see where I'm coming from, too.
Okay,
like,
tell me.
It's because I want to spend time with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I know your kids are important to you.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, bring them. You know, and that also, like, keeps us safe, too.
Right,
So we're not, like, out taking shots.
Yeah, you're right.
So
we're not here taking flights of margaritas. Which we did, by the way.
My excuse is bring the kids.
So Liz is on the tight leash. No, and I don't want to be on a tight leash. Fuck them kids. I want to go wild. You see where I'm coming from?
I guess. You're right.
You're like, at least I know if Liz brings her kids, it ain't going to end up like a wild night at freaking Statler.
Like, oh, God. What time is their bedtime? 9? Great.
Great. Me too.
Same.
Now I see why you're tricking me. I was like, oh, she's such a great friend. No, bitch got a bedtime. Bitch got a bedtime.
Oh, my God.
I figured you out. Okay, next one said, for me, it has not been hard because I'm understanding of their time. I try to make sure they know, though we don't see each other, I'll always be there. Oh, that's sweet. Next one says, yes, they put their baby daddy first when they're pieces of shit.
Ooh. Tell us how you really feel, girl.
Yes. Another
that's
one
fact.
said
Some people do that.
they put their
shitty baby daddy.
Yeah. It says, yes, and I think it's all about a shift in priorities. Brunches and nights out are no longer important to them, and understandably so. Yeah, I mean, certain times they are not available.
Yeah.
And next one says, I think it depends. A lot of my mom friends have older children, so it's easier.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have a at-home babysitter. No, I'm just kidding.
No, like it really is easier when the kids are older because you know, like the parents they speak to them like older kids, like adults kind of, you know what I mean? Where it's easier to understand what they're talking about. It's easier for me at least to have a conversation with them when they're older rather than they're babies. Like they're still learning. They're still like
you have to be careful what you say.
You have to be careful with what you say. I don't want them to repeat something to their dad, you know, and like we're talking shit about him. I'm just kidding.
Mama said, you asshole. Dude, that would be Ezra 100%.
But like, you know what I mean? Like you just have to be a little bit more careful when you're around like little toddlers and stuff. But when they're older, it's just so much fun.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing is that now my kid judges me.
Yeah.
So she's like, oh, I mean, you got so crazy the other night with grandma or like with Wela. Like me and
your mom,
my mother-in-law.
Oh my God, y'all are taking shots.
Yes,
and your daughter's probably there, freaking.
Yeah, she's like, look
recording
at Mom. Oh yeah, she has videos. She's like, look at Mom. She's trying to do karaoke again with Wela. She's taking shots, and Josh is just there like me and you both.
God. Y'all see how wild Liz is?
Y'all. And I turned it down a notch because I'm a mom now and I'm married.
Oh my God, I don't think so. I beg to differ. I'm gonna ask Josh right now.
Ask him and see what he says. Has Liz toned it down since y'all got married?
He's gonna freaking.
He outs me.
No, he's gonna be like, yeah, I tightened that whip or whatever.
He's
gonna
so
talk
stupid.
shit.
He wishes. Anyways, he wishes. Okay, next one says no. They have not lost a friend. We understand each other's priorities. We FaceTime a lot. Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, I mean, if you don't get to hang out, FaceTime each other. Yes, with some because this is the next one. Yes, with some because they want to stick to such tight routines for the kids. I roll.
Hey, that's like some parents' thing is like keeping them on a routine, and I understand that. Like your kids on a routine, especially during the week, I get it.
Right.
You know, I'm on a routine too. You know, like I'm on my own routine, so I get it. So when Fridays or Saturdays come around, like let's go have dinner or whatever when they're able to. Yeah, I totally get it.
No, and especially when they're babies, like their naps are important, their sleeping schedules are important. So exactly. I totally get it. And then it says, yes, life with kids is busy. School, homework, dinner, bath time. There's no time. And then the last one said, yes, kids take priority almost all the time, and understandably so. You guys are so understanding. Is it hard to be the understanding friend, Mel, do you think?
No, not anymore.
Yeah?
No. Maybe in the beginning because I was very selfish. You know, I was young. I was selfish. And then, you know, I had a partner that probably didn't give me the time of day, so like I always felt like I needed my friends or I needed somebody to like spend my time with when my boyfriend couldn't. And so like when my friends were having kids, I'm like, well, they're busy and like he doesn't want to spend time with me, so I did spend a lot of time alone. So you know, it's not hard being understanding.
No,
and like me being an introvert too, I'm just like, you gotta cancel, great.
The bra just slaps off. You're like, yes, bitch, let's worry about this bra another day. Fuck it.
Taking off my makeup, like, yes.
You're like, before I commit to these lashes, bitch, yes or no?
And see, that could be so different with other people. Like, there's other people that could probably be like, yes, I'm ready to go out. And then you cancel and they're pissed.
I used to be that friend.
Really?
I was like, well, fuck you, and I ain't gonna invite you no more. No, I'm just kidding. No, I wouldn't say that, but like in the back of my head, I was like, this bitch is always flaking out on me. Like, you always know those flaky friends. And then now that I'm older, I was like, which one of you bitches is gonna say no so I could just not worry about doing my hair? You know, like now that you like are getting kind of older and like some commitments just kind of fall through. Now I'm like, oh, okay, well, cool.
Yeah.
You know,
you just understand.
Yeah.
Like, oh, whatever.
I guess I'll be here with my fucking kids.
I'll go to Target. I'll just walk around Target
because I wasn't already headed out.
Yeah.
Bitch, that's happened to me like a lot of times before. Like not like lately, but I'm like I'm that bitch that's ready to like jump out the house like way back then.
Oh, I know.
And I'm just like, so are we still doing this or not? Because I'm just gonna take a trip to Target. Next question. Can those friendships last after having kids?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, all of my best friends that have kids, like, we've been friends since high school.
Yeah.
So, of course, I mean, you just got to be understanding. And teach it. You know what? What's a good point, too, is like Jeanette's daughter, she, it was a few years ago, she had, I guess, trouble with some of her friends at school of, like, they didn't have the same kind of, like interest or whatever. And so it was such a good, like, I guess, teaching lesson for her, because I was like, look, your mom likes different things and I like different things.
Oh yeah, y'all are 180.
I was like, but it doesn't mean that I don't like respect her and like appreciate her and understand her. Like, she likes what she likes, I like what I like, but we're still best friends. So I totally get it. And I was like, you don't always have to like what your friends like. You can be completely different, but you still just, you know, hang out with each other and respect and appreciate the other person. That's all you have to do. You don't have to like everything that the other person likes.
I think that also takes off that pressure of friendships too, in that aspect of like, we don't always have to be aligned in the same way that we're living our lives. Because what fun is that?
Yeah.
What fun is it to have everyone doing the same thing at the same time?
No,
what
that's
fun
so
is
true.
it to live the same life as someone else? Like, we have to be friends because we had the same kids' birthdays, or we have to be friends because we like this or that, or like, you know, like, what fun is it in having the friends? Because I feel like having a multitude of friends that are like, it's a variety, I guess. Like brings different things into your life, or like different perspectives, or like, you know, like you're not the same thing as you're not the same as Gabby is, or you know, Jeanette's not the same as you, or like I have different friends that I can go to for different situations.
Yes.
So I think that's like something
it opens your mind to different things, because it's like, and it makes me appreciate them more, because I'm like, I love that you love something so much, or I love that you love an interest, or you have an interest that you like and enjoy.
Yeah.
You know, and I may not like it, but you like it, and I love that for you. And so I appreciate, and I like when my friends are that way with me too, because I'm like, I know I'm different. I know I'm not like all my friends. So it's like, I appreciate that, you know, you're still my friend, that, you know, that you are okay with me liking what I like. And I have friends in different, you know, areas of my life that have the same interests, like music wise or whatever. It's like, I have different friends for different reasons because we have the same interests, but we don't always have to have the same interest on something.
Attached at the hip type of situation.
No. I'd be like, bitch, get off me.
Yep, I agree with that. The next question that we asked was, have you lost friends when you, or like they had kids? Like the question was, have you lost friends? And let me answer a couple of these. Yes, yes, yes. It says yes. Well, we just keep in touch from social media, but that's it. Even with mom friends, because special needs son usually has had a hectic schedule and not much in common with regular moms, because she has a special needs kid. We had one that, yes, I lost a lot of friends once I had my first. We got a nope, we got a yes, no, and then we got a no. They always come crawling back.
You mean the parent comes, like the one
the
with
friend?
the kid?
The friend comes back. Like, I guess, like once they kind of like disappear and then they come back. I wouldn't say lost, but we aren't nearly as close as we once were. Next one said, friendships remain, however, less communication for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's just part of life. It's just what happens. You know, we can't always sit here and be selfish of like, they had a baby and, you know, their time is allotted to that child. You're no longer a priority to them. You're not the number one priority. Their number one priority is taking care of that child. And we have to be understanding of that, you know, and what they'll come around and be like, if you're still there and you're still there for them after they have their kid, trust me, those friends will come around.
Yeah.
Just because they quote unquote abandoned you because they had a kid doesn't mean that they don't care about you. They're busy and their priorities have changed. And we have to just stop thinking like selfishly. Because I mean, I can speak from that because I felt that way. I was very selfish of like, you forgot about me or whatever. And like, you have your baby daddy, tell him to watch the kid. You know, like that's just the thought in my mind.
Yeah.
But it's like, it doesn't always work that way. You have to be patient and understanding.
And I think during these times, like a lot of these conversations aren't being had.
No.
You know, they're not happening while like she found out she's pregnant and like you're going through like all these things, you know? And I think because those conversations are so hard to have.
Yeah.
Like to know that like, hey, I might not be around for you all the time, but no, I'm here.
Yes.
And like actually show it. Because one thing is me saying I'm here for you, and then another thing is like showing up for being here for you. You know what I mean? Like in that type of like situation where like you have to sometimes show it with actions, not just say, hey, I'm here for you. And like, if you need me, I'm here for you. But like, are you really? Because there's sometimes like friends are reaching out and like, well, I can't right now. You know what I mean? Like sometimes
and
words
I think it goes both ways, because
Yeah.
I'll read something that I had found up on Reddit a few days ago, is because it goes both ways, because if somebody chooses to be child free or they don't like kids, that's okay that somebody doesn't like kids, you know, and the friend has kids and they don't want to be around you with their kids, that's okay.
Yes.
They don't have to be around you if they don't like kids.
Okay, I need you to read that, because that was so mind opening for me to hear that and read that, because sometimes like I feel like sometimes as a mom I am in like my own world that I don't seek from the outside in, because like to me I can't relate not having a kid, or I can't relate my time revolving around their schedule or my, even like my schedule in itself revolve around them. Like when I worked, my schedule had to revolve around my child, and even like now certain things have to revolve around my kid and for certain instances. Sorry.
So this is a post from Reddit. It says, I'm child-free by choice. On top of that, I also just don't really like children at all. I don't want to be around them. I don't want to hold them or talk about them or look at pictures of them. It holds absolutely zero interest for me and actively gives me anxiety to be around them. A previously child-free by choice friend of mine randomly got pregnant and decided to take the journey of motherhood. Fine, cool, you do you. They just posted something on social media along the lines of, wow, I guess I know who my real friends are. There are some who suddenly drop out of my life because I have a child now. Just really bitter sounding and about some people like me that have kept their distance. Did she really think I was suddenly going to be all into babies because the crotch fruit came from her? Why should I feel guilty or like a bad friend because they made a huge major life decision I'd rather not be a part of? Seriously, I'm so frustrated about it. I understand she's going through some major feels and life-altering things, but our paths diverged. She knew 100% my thoughts and feelings surrounding children through her entire pregnancy. I wasn't invited to any baby showers or gender reveal parties, but now she wants my support? What the fuck? I have no obligation to change my life to fit the path you chose. Sorry, we won't ever be very close because of it.
Wow.
It's true.
No, it definitely is true. I mean, it's valid.
It is.
It's so valid. And I think sometimes as moms, we think that it shouldn't change our friendships with you guys who choose to not have kids or have yet to have kids, because we think that like maybe seeing us be moms will change your minds.
Yeah.
And not necessarily that's my thought process, but I've heard of that being a thing where it's like, oh, well, maybe you see me being a mom, you'll want to be a mom with me type of situation, And I think a lot of that was like, that's what my mom thought is why I got pregnant. No, mom, the fucking condom broke. But, like,
yeah.
Like, in reality, my mom felt that way. Like, oh, you're just getting pregnant because your other friends got pregnant. I'm like, no, that's not what it is.
Yeah.
And I think that those conversations in, like, society or something, it's quote unquote expected for, oh, well, all your other friends are pregnant. Like, it's your turn. Like you said, So, like, those conversations are necessarily needed.
Yeah.
And I think as awkward as they are, it's like, you know what, if you decide to have a kid, I'm sorry. Like, it's just not for me to be around them. Like, and that's valid. And I think anyone would feel so offended to hear that.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't want anything to do with the kid, if you're not interested in children, just like that person said, then, don't get your feelings hurt when you get pregnant and they don't want to be involved.
Yeah.
They'll be involved with you as a friend, if they want to. If they won't, they'll be involved with you as a friend. And just that. They don't want to be around your kid. They don't want you to talk about their kid or your kid or whatever. Yeah. And that has to be okay with you. Like, but sometimes, like the post said, like, your paths diverge. Like, you don't have anything in common anymore. No. Because, a lot of those conversations are going to be about motherhood. Your life is motherhood. And so there's going to be so many instances where they're going to be talking about their kid. It's you can't avoid it at all. So, I mean, but yeah, people with kids, you just got to be mindful of people. There are people out there that don't want children. They don't like kids.
Yeah, that's why they're choosing not to.
And there's nothing wrong with that. You just have to be accepting of that, because there's some times where I see a fucking crotch monster and I'm like, oh, look at those boogers on your face.
Why are you looking at me like that, you little shit? Like...
I mean, but yeah, I mean, doesn't mean that I don't like kids, but sometimes I just don't want to be around them.
Can I be like 110% like real with y'all? Like, I don't like kids. I don't. I like my kids.
See, that's what my mom says too.
Like, there's a big difference, and I think people don't understand what that means. And that's why I think, like, now that makes sense for me that I like having my friends without kids, because I don't like other people's kids.
Yeah.
I like my own kids. That's why it's hard for me to ever, like, really have, like, play dates. Like, I would love to. Like, you guys are like, hey, let's have a play date, this and that. And, yeah, let's set it up. Let's do it. But at the end of the day, I'm exhausted from my own kid to have to wrangle him. And then alongside, like, other kids, like, I keep parks to a minimum, or I go to parks where I know there's not really kids because I don't know if other moms can relate to me on this, but if you do, let me know. Like, you don't like kids, you just like your own.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
I'm
my
just
mom
putting
told me
that
that
out there.
years ago. She was like, because we were at the mall and they have like the little kid play center.
Oh, yeah,
I was like, look at them, Mom. They're so cute. She's like, keep walking. And I was like, you're so rude. And she's like, I don't like kids. And I was like, how did you have two? She goes, it was an accident.
Twice?
She said, one's a mistake and one's an accident.
Mm.
You know, it's fine. My childhood was great.
Awesome. I love the honesty.
No childhood trauma at all.
No, none. Goes to the therapist on Wednesday, like, so, you know.
I was never wanted.
You got to flip the coin and who's that mistake and who's the accident.
Oh, God. She knows. She always tells, she's like, Tony was an accident, or I don't know. It was one of us. She always says.
That's so funny. All right. Our next question was, if you said yes to losing a friend because they had kids, how did you feel? The first one said, we were just in different journeys in our lives. Next one said, abandoned, if I'm being honest, but you come around and are okay. It gets lonely, girl. I bet you it does get lonely, right? To have that feeling of like, all my friends are having kids, and then they're just kind of like dropping.
So let me just bring something up real quick, because
Yeah.
during COVID was a big one when we were locked down, and I'm by myself with my two dogs, and everybody is with their kid or with their family, right? And like, I don't think people understood how lonely it fucking was to just be by yourself. And it's like, and then there's the moms that are like, I can't fucking wait to get out of here. And I'm like, and I'm by myself. Like, we are two different ends of the spectrum here. Because I'm like, I can't wait to be with somebody, and you can't wait to get away and have alone time. I'm like, you have no idea how hard it is to just be here by yourself. You at least have your family, your kid. Like, you have somebody to interact with. I don't have anybody. And I think that's why I got big on my Instagram stories, is because, like, I didn't have anybody else to talk to. And I'm like, I like doing that because I'm alone all the time. So it's like, it's just fun for me.
Yeah, you have like having that aspect of things. And I think because we did have a conversation about this, and like, I think like episode 5, where we had, you know, Gabby, my best friend, on there, and we talked about our friends without kids, but it was from a different perspective, where she's like, I feel like I'm missing out on the things that you have, or I'm like kind of left out of it because you have your family now.
Yeah.
And had I never heard that, I would have never understood where you guys were coming from, because it does take that conversation to have, is that like, yeah, you might look at me and think like, oh, your life is cool, you get to up and go and do what you want and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, but yeah, I wish I had what you had, you know? And it's sometimes like, you just don't see the other side of the coin unless you kind of like hear it, or like, I guess like live it.
And I think that's what I was explaining to Crystal too, is like, when she was feeling a certain way about it, I was like, yeah, I just tell people that it's like, being child free is fucking awesome, and like, you have all this free time, you could do whatever you want, and it's like, they think it's sunshine and rainbows, when in reality it's really not. It could be a lonely and isolating place, you know, and especially for, you know, people who want to have kids or anything like that. Like, it could be hard because you're hearing about families that have, you know, you're hearing people talking about their families and their children. It's like, you feel left out because you don't have that yet.
Yeah.
You know? So.
Yeah, I could see that. Let me see. Next one said, it sucks because that person is no longer there, but no ill will towards them.
Yep. And
then the last one said, bummed about losing them. Yeah, because it could definitely freaking suck ass. Like, losing, even if it's not because just they had kids, but just losing a friendship, you know, talking about like friendship breakups, freaking suck.
Yeah.
And then I had one that said, okay, the last question was, what did you want people, hold on, let me put it, I don't know why I exited out. If you are child free, what is something you want people to know?
Ooh.
And let me pull it up. Why am I doing this with my... I had one that said, sometimes people think that their problems are bigger because they have kids, and child-free people have their lives resolved and everything's wonderful on the other side. When we all have problems, we all have issues, and it doesn't matter if you have kids or not. Your problems are as important. One day, I was going through a difficult, stressful stage in my life, and one of my coworkers was like, "What are you so stressed about? You don't have any kids. You don't have anything to worry about. Money or problems, you have no kids." To me, that was so disrespectful to say. It's like you're trying to tell me that I don't have a valid reason to struggle or feel like how I feel because I have no kids. Ooh.
Yep. And being tired.
Mm.
If I say I'm tired, why? You don't have kids?
Oof.
Bitch, I'm fucking tired.
I said what I said.
I hate when people do that. That's the biggest one, is like people thinking that you have this, you know, freedom of life and you don't have no issues and stuff because you don't have kids. My comeback is what I want to say is like, it was not my fault you fucking wanted to have kids.
Yeah.
Like, do not respond to me like that. Like, all those feelings are valid. But like, if you want to complain and say your life is harder, well, then you shouldn't have had fucking kids.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The truth hurts. No, seriously, I think
if you want to say a rude comment to me, I'm gonna fucking say a rude comment back.
Yeah, because like, what do you expect? Like, you're gonna come at someone with disrespect, invalidating like their feelings and their experiences because they don't have kids.
Yep.
Like that's almost like demeaning to the person. Like to say that your struggles aren't as valid as someone who has kids. Yeah, that's not okay. And I hope if you've ever said that to anyone, like, you fix it. Because, you know, I've said it where, like, why are you tired? You don't have kids, you know, but not like in a like disrespectful type of way. But I've said it before, and it took that like self-awareness and even hearing the conversations to being like, just because I don't have kids doesn't mean I'm not having like 1,000 things to do, or I don't have like a job that's high stress, or I don't have, on top of that, like medical conditions that cause chronic, you know, anything. So like all those things, like you just don't know what someone's going through, and to just like blatantly disrespect someone and say invalidating stuff is just like, as a human in general, you should be more cautious of how you approach things or how things are being said. And
now, like, if anybody ever said that to me, like, yeah, I would come back rudely because that's a rude comment to make. But at the same time, like, in my mind, like, I know that they don't know what it's like. I know that they're stressed out. I know that there's something else going on in their lives that they're projecting that frustration out on me. That has nothing to do with me. But I'm going to check you. Yeah. I will check you.
I think sometimes people, like, and I think it comes a lot from, like, in our community and in our culture, like, invalidating even, like, our mental health is, like, it's a thing that happens. So invalidating other people, I guess it makes you feel better. I don't know how that works out, but like, I feel like that happens a lot in our community, to invalidate other people's experiences or their feelings based on like what they have going on. But that doesn't mean that their struggles aren't any greater, or, you know,
there's always got to be a reason or a comeback for something. I mean, you can't even say that, you know, I don't know if this is for you, but like, if you're sitting down, it's like, you have to be doing something. Like, your family is like, what are you doing sitting there? You got to be doing something. And I'm like, God damn, this is why I live alone. I can't.
And you know, I noticed this. I noticed that, like, my husband is like, just sit the fuck down. Because there's moments where I'm in my head, I think it's just being raised. The way that I was raised is that if you're not doing anything, you're not valid. Like, you're not doing enough. If you're doing nothing, you're not doing enough. Yeah. You know? So, like, for me to, like, chill out, my husband literally has to tell me, just sit the fuck down and chill out. Like, why are you trying to do whatever you're trying to do when you can just be, like, you can worry about it tomorrow? You know what I
worry about it at 3 a.m. I'm like, I'll be laying there and I'm like, God, I'm not even sleepy. Like, there's times where I can't sleep at night. So I'm like, 2 or 3 in the morning cleaning. I mean, I won't vacuum. I'm not going to bother my neighbors like that or anything. But like, I'll start picking up and like folding the laundry or putting stuff away or organizing. But it sucks being that way.
Yeah. It's just how we were conditioned. Jesus. I had someone reply to if you are child free, is it hard to keep friendships with your mom friends? And we had a reply that said, "No, your true and genuine friends will love you and your little one. All of us, speaking for my friends and I, live pretty busy lives. So when we get to spend time together, my little one is always welcome with open arms. They have also learned my boundaries when it comes to parenting and understand that I will always be a mom first before anything."
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful. Good
Yeah.
for you. Yeah, setting your boundaries with anyone in any situation is just as important in a friendship that it is in like family wise.
Yeah. So like since my friends have kids, my parents know that they have kids, right?
Oh.
And so like anytime I see my friends, my parents are like, "How's the baby?" And I'm like, "The baby's like 14 years old," you know? And he's like, you
I
know, they're
love
like, "Oh
that,
my God,
yeah.
they're so big." But they're always expecting, like me when I hang out with my friends that are moms, like that their kids are with us all the time. And I'm like, "Dad, they want to get away from their kids too." Or like, "Mom, they want to get away from the kids. They don't always have to be with them."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, that's right." You know, like
Yeah.
they think they're still babies, you know?
Oh.
So like we only hang out when they're babies. And I'm like, "No, they're grown. Like they're big already."
Aw, I love that your parents still remember them.
Mm-hmm.
We had a reply to, "What would you want someone to know if you're child free?" This one said, going to reply here, "I think people expect child free women to be more available for anything just because we have more free time. Doesn't mean that everyone has access to that time. At work, for example, I find I'm usually the one who gets a schedule change last minute without anyone asking me if it's okay. They never do that to mothers."
Yep.
How do you feel about that? Because you're in the work environment.
Well, I never tell them if I have kids, if I'm married or anything. Like, of course, HR knows. Like,
Right.
you know, they know my status and stuff. But I never tell my boss or any of my coworkers that I have kids, if I have a husband, nothing, because it's none of their damn business. So if I say, you know, I need to catch some time off for my kid's dentist appointment, fuck, they don't know if I have a kid or not. Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I can relate to that where I expect the same flexibility in my schedule to the people who are mothers. You know, because a lot of the times us who are child free, we take a lot of the slack for their work because their kid was sick or they couldn't do this or they were gone before spring break or whatever it is that their kid had to they had to go pick up their kid for a reason.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times like we pick up the slack. You know, but I expect the same flexibility for myself.
As you do for.
Yeah, I was like, if I need to take my dog to the vet, like I'm going to take him to the vet.
Yeah.
If I need to go take my car to, you know, the dealership or whatever, I'm going to take it to the dealership. Like just because they have that flexibility because they have kids doesn't mean that I can't have the same.
Yeah.
So
I think that would be totally like an HR problem. Like if you weren't getting the same treatment, isn't that like a issue with that? Like I would expect so. Like why is there, quote unquote, in the workplace?
if it was a continuing thing, I would have brought it up to HR. But you know, hopefully they're.
I mean, that's a good like. I guess a good like type of conversation to have like amongst like your.
And
work
I think a lot
environment.
I mean, I don't know. I can only speak from experience, but I think a lot of workplaces are being a little bit more flexible with time and schedules, especially with, you know, parents and stuff. So, I mean, I never have issues with asking for time off, and I never feel like other people do when they have, you know, when they have kids.
Right.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it is a work thing. All right, and then we have this one.
Let's get to it, girl.
You ready to set my face?
I'm ready.
All right, so this is a doozy, and I love this like reply. And she had to DM us. I was like, "Girl, just send us a DM." And she's like, "My perspective is from an unmarried single woman." She said, "I'm child free. I've been through this rodeo a million times because I've had friends and family getting pregnant since I was 13. They always claim that no one supports them after they're pregnant. No, honey. Once they're pregnant, they start kissing their baby daddy's ass and catering to him to start their family. They shun themselves from all their loved ones for some reason. Then once the baby comes and they realize their baby daddy ain't shit or a good father, they start crawling back trying to mend relationships. Because they have no one else to turn to. I've seen it all. I've never wanted that life for myself. And I sure as fuck am never going to depend on a man for everything. That's why a lot of women stay in abusive and toxic relationships, because they feel like they don't have a way out. That's why at 31 years old, I cherish my friendships and listen to all the advice I've been given and I've learned through others' mistakes. It pisses me off when single, unmarried, childless women are looked down upon just because we want a better life for our kids and future. You will never find me crying with a baby in an arm, with a baby in one arm. I promise you'll have the dad crying with the baby before it's me. But it's because I've grown up knowing I have boundaries with men. I understand a lot of women grow up innocently not knowing what they're getting into. But shit, some of them have 2 to 3 more kids with the same piece of shit before learning. Ugh. And then I get looked down upon because I'm in my 30s with no kid. Like, if there's something wrong with me. Bitch, you had a kid at 13. Something's wrong with you.
I can't.
I'm not going to settle just because I want a career and a better partner for my family. A man affects everything in your life. I'm not going through hell with a wrong partner.
Woo. Amen. I can agree to that.
Amen.
I mean, now with the friend part, I don't know. I can agree with the man part. I mean, it's for me, especially like, you know, being with different partners and stuff that were long term in my family, thinking that we were going to last. Mm-hmm. You know, my mom is like, well, you should have had a baby or you should have got pregnant. And I'm like, no, I'm glad I didn't have a kid. I'm glad I didn't have to. Because can you imagine? I would still have to be dealing with this person. You know, and I don't mean to sound like, I don't know, insensitive to my friends that do have shitty baby daddies, but like it really does open my eyes of like, I don't want that. Like I want to be 100% in the partner that I have a child with. Yeah. You know, well, like thank you to my friends who have shitty baby daddies because you teach us lessons on what not to do. I mean, if that doesn't sound like, I don't mean to sound like ugly or insincere or like insensitive or anything like that. I just want to, that's just how I feel about it because I'm like, I don't want a baby daddy like that. Like, or I think I'm glad I didn't have a baby with him. Like, could you imagine? I'd still have to be dealing with his dumb ass. But yeah, I can totally agree with her. I can totally agree that we do have, what is it? I don't want to say standards, but we have like
boundaries. Like
yeah, we have boundaries and a standard of type of life that we want to have, you know, with a person. And like you having to pick the right man to have a child with. Even if the relationship doesn't work out, you at least are choosing this man that is going to take responsibility for this child. Yeah. If you decide or if something happens and you guys aren't together and you don't have a deadbeat dad. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think like in my perspective of things as like a mom and as a teen mom at that, I learned my lesson the first fucking time. Let me just say that right now. Because I was not going to put, now separating from, you know, my daughter's dad, I knew I wasn't going to put myself and my child in a situation that was going to be anything but, not perfect, but anything that was not going to be of substance. Yeah. I wasn't going to put my child in a situation where I knew this was not good for me mentally, physically, emotionally. It was not giving me anything of substance. And from that moment, like forward, I was like, you know what? My next partner, I have certain things like that I expect from them, or I want certain things from them. So like, looking back at my exes, like I've said before, I am so fucking glad I didn't stick around. I didn't try to make it work. I didn't try to like just settle for that, because had I, oh God, I don't even know.
Oh, here's a good tip. When you're in your 30s, find someone who's already a dad and then see how good of a dad he is.
Is that the trick?
I don't know.
Did we learn the trick? Because
I don't know. I feel like mine's a great dad.
Mine is too. Had I not seen him playing with 2 boys in the pool and like being cute, I would have never like looked at him twice. Yeah. If you want to know if a man's a good man, see if he's a good dad.
Yeah, he's a good dad.
And if they're not a good dad, the bitch will run the other motherfucking way.
He's a great dad.
Look at you. Aww. You glow when you talk about him.
Sometimes I'm like, because sometimes, like, I really am doing nothing at home. And he's like, I got to run here. I got to take the kids this. I got to get this for the kids. And I'm like, and then he's working, you know, like, I just don't know how he does it. And he's a single dad. So I'm like, I don't know how you do it. And he's like, I don't know. I just
figure it out.
find time, you know, you got to figure it out. And I'm like, this is so crazy. And I'm over here like freaking taking
Your
a nap.
ovaries are exploding.
No, I'm over here taking my 4th nap of the day. Poor guy. He's like fucking running errands.
He works so you can take naps.
No, but I told him, I was like, you know, if you know, we were together all the time, I would totally help you do things with the kids or whatever. He's like, I know.
You're going to be a great stepmom.
I hope so.
It's so different from being a mom, though.
Yeah. Because I don't really have a responsibility for like raising them or like.
No, I don't think it's that. I think it's a little bit. I think it's easier to be a stepmom than it is to be a mom, if I'm being honest.
See, maybe that's my calling in life.
I think maybe I find it a little easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there are certain things that you can kind of like step back on and just like let that be them taking the reign, you know? Like
because
me,
I think it's like a friendship, right? Like
yeah,
more of a friendship
you have to build
type parent.
you have to build more of a friendship than an actual like parenting relationship for it to kind of work out. Because once I got yelled at, "You're not my mom," I was like, "All right, hands off." It's not a bad thing. I mean, I didn't get offended to it, but I was like, I know I'm not. I don't. If this kid is already telling me I need to back off, I need to back off.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I have a great relationship. I feel like I have a great relationship with my stepkids. I don't know if they could say the same, but I love them.
Yeah.
You know, I care for them. And
I mean, do you feel like they're comfortable around you?
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like they can come to me and like talk to me about things, or like, you know, I already have one talking to me about his girlfriend, or they, you know, I'll ask him, how's your girlfriend? And, you know, he'll be like, good. Like, why are you asking? Like, it's just weird, you know, for them. Or like, you know, like our oldest is going to be 15 pretty soon. So I'm like, how are you 15?
How?
I met you and you were like this tiny and you were like turning 6. And I'm just like,
oh my God,
I've been in their life that long. So I'm like, it's crazy to see that. But maybe that's your calling. There you go. You found your calling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But you'll be a great mom if your time comes.
Oh, I told my boyfriend, I was like, if we don't have kids, can we have like 5 dogs? And he's like, oh my God, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
He never tells me no.
No, he would not tell you no. I don't see that happening at all. He's going to have like a farm with like a bunch of like
I want
dachshunds
like
everywhere.
goats and chickens, and I want a chicken coop.
God.
I told him. I mean, but that's the acceptance of not wanting, or I guess the acceptance of maybe not having kids. Yeah. So, because I know there's some people out there that really want kids, and then there's some people that are very much child free, or they want kids someday or whatever. I mean, I want kids, but it's never going to be like, I want them so bad that I'm willing to do anything. That's just not my type. That's not my style. Yeah. You know, I always say, like, if it happens, it happens. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't. Yeah. I'm not gonna stress my life over that. Yeah. So I'm very content with where I'm at. That's good.
I mean, and it's your life. You get to decide when, if, and how.
And sometimes I'm like, I can barely take care of myself.
Taking care of myself is exhausting.
It is. God.
Like, who can put up with me but me?
Seriously. So I can barely take myself to doctor's appointments. You mean I got to take this other one to a doctor's appointment? God damn. Okay.
How do I make a doctor's? Oh my God. My husband fucking calling me to figure out how to make anything happen. Lord.
Oh, I keep telling my boyfriend, I was like, you need to, because he talks about he can't see. And I'm like, have you called the eye doctor? No. You need to make an eye appointment. And he's like, this is why I need you here. I'm like, no. Go find your eye doctor.
So we had a few more really quick ones when we asked, what do you guys want people to know about like being child free? And the answers were, do not just talk to us about your kids. There were things that made us bond prior to. Oh yeah, don't just talk to us about your kids. There were things that made us bond prior to that, but we still love your kids though. That I can still understand your situation even though I don't have kids. Also, don't judge me because I don't have kids. We have our reasons. We don't want them and asking when we don't want them asking when we're having kids.
Yes. Don't ever ask that question. Because you may hear an answer you don't want to fucking hear.
We're going to fight. No.
They really don't like kids, so don't ask them.
You might not like the answer.
Yep.
You know, some people get offended when you tell them you don't like kids.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Like, had no one known I had kids and I said, I don't like them, but I didn't say I like mine. You know what I mean? I'm going to do that next time. Be like, do you have kids? I don't like them, but I like mine. Not everyone needs children to feel complete and whole in their lives.
Yep.
That just because we are child-free doesn't mean we want to party all the time.
Oh, yes. See, just because we... Yeah. See? Y'all know me. Y'all know me.
That having kids won't complete us or make us happy.
Yep.
Wow. Thank you guys so much. This was such a good convo. I love it.
I do too. Everybody's choices are their own. If you want to have kids, you don't want to have kids. It's just like if we said, being understanding and patient with the other, so you keep your friendships.
Yeah,
you know.
And if along the way you do lose friendships, just understand that it's nothing personal. It's just their choice of not wanting to be around the kids, or it's just not that life anymore. It's not that life for them. You guys have nothing in common, or your schedules are too busy. And I mean, I've had friends that I've just like drifted apart.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I don't have them in the back of my head and I'm like, hey girl, like, hope you're doing good. Or like every once in a while they come across my Instagram and I'm like, oh, I like your picture. Or, you know, just like from afar, but there's still there's no ill will, as like we both kind of went our separate ways and you're doing you and, you know, you're living your life.
Would you get offended if somebody like came and, because I probably do the same thing too. I was like, how are you doing? And I don't ask about your kids or your family.
Ooh. Hell no. I don't care. My kids are a fucking mess. Why do I want to share the fucking mess I have going on?
I don't know, because sometimes like I feel, not just with you, but with anybody. Because like if they have kids and I'll be like, hey, how are you? And I don't ask about like, how are the kids or anything. I always think back of like, oh, should I have asked about their kids?
No, because sometimes, again, like, I don't want to have to talk about my kids all the time. But that's just me. Maybe for someone else, like, it might offend them or whatever. But, like, to me, for you to not ask about my kids, I don't care.
Well,
like,
I think for me, I think the reason why I don't, it's not I don't do it on purpose. But I think for me, like, if I asked about the kids and, like, you tell me about, like, their school projects or something that's happening with them or whatever, I can't relate. So I don't want to know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't care. All right, great. You know, Charlie had number 2 in his diaper. I don't know what the fuck. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, with my kids, nothing is going on but them driving me fucking nuts.
Yeah.
So you want to hear, like, Ezra freaking shooting me with a BB gun? Like,
ooh, what do you...
He's so bad.
I don't know. I don't want to
He's
bring up this topic because it can be a lot. But, like, the parents who think their kids are, like, the best thing ever.
Let me just say this.
Do you just like roll your eyes? Because I do.
As a parent myself, I know my kids can be little shits. I know it. And I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that I love my kids every single fucking day of their lives, because there's some days that I'm like, Lord, I should have swallowed you.
Okay.
That's out there. I just said that. Because there are days they fucking drive me nuts. There are days that, like, the talking back is just getting too much. The eye rolling just gets too much. The, you're fat gets, like, too much. Or, like, just little comments. There's just things that kids say that sometimes kids are like, oh, that's so funny. It's quirky. They're so honest. And I'm like, rude as fuck. Or Ezra comes up to me and, like, pokes my belly, like, you fat. But just, like, I don't think he says it, like,
he doesn't know. Yeah.
No, like, I get it. But there's just times where I'm like, I should have fucking swallowed you. But, you know, there's just those moments. But, like, I do low-key roll my eyes when, like, parents are like, he's my sun in the stars and the apple of my... I get it, yeah. But all the time, 100%?
See, I love and appreciate moms who are real like that.
Yeah.
Like, you can love your kids so much, but honestly be real of, like, how much they can get on your nerves.
How expensive they are and ungrateful
Because
sometimes.
that's real to me.
Yeah.
Like, I can appreciate that a lot more as a child-free person when you're completely honest. Like, I know the love people have for their children. Like,
I love my kids. I would give my life for them.
Like, it's indescribable, right? For the love that you have for your kids. But I can also see how frustrating it could be or how hard it could be being a parent and stuff like that. Like, being honest with the whole parent experience.
Yeah.
And not just, like, thinking it's the best thing to ever happen.
I mean,
I would appreciate that a lot more.
No, from the moment you get pregnant, it's fucking terrible.
Thank you.
You want me to be real? I'm gonna be real. You got nausea, you got swollen feet, you can't poop, like you got aches and pains that you never even know were possible. Like, dude, like, but you love them somehow unconditionally, and you just could not live without them. Like, it's so crazy that my husband will sit there and like look at old pictures of our kids and he'll start crying. And then I'm just like, am I broken? Because sometimes I'm like, yeah, I remember that day. He fucking just blew like a load out the diaper. Like, it was disgusting. But he's like out here like crying, like, they're so beautiful and they're growing up. And I'm just like, good, get the fuck out my house. You know, like, there's just those moments, and we just balance them. It's just the balance of everything. I don't know how to explain it, but I love my kids. Like, as much as I like talk shit and everything, like, I can't see my life not being a mom, not being their mom.
Yeah.
Again, I like being my kids' moms. Other kids, that's why I'm not a big like have sleepover. Like, Audrey had a sleepover.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I thought my kid was annoying. I'm just ended at that. But for real, I'm just saying, like, there's just moments where I like my kids. I love my kids unconditionally. But I hope other moms can relate to what I'm saying. If you don't, then I'm like one in a million. Because I don't know. Like, I can't get around my kids are perfect. And I can't.
No. Because it's a lie.
You have to not like your kids.
At some point.
It's a fine balance. Ask your mom.
Oh, girl. She didn't like me on Thursday. Well, what is it? On Wednesday. Are you kidding me? She didn't like me on Wednesday. We fucking almost threw hands.
Yeah, see?
And I went to go tell her on my dad. He's like, don't listen to her. I'm like, let's go. We got to go. I was like, get in the car. We're leaving.
See? And
then 10 minutes later, we're like, Mom, are you hungry?
Yeah. Oh, my God. That's me and Audrey. We fight or like we argue about certain things, and I'm like, you hungry? You want to go with me to Target? She's like the little broke best friend that I didn't need because I go broke.
I was the broke best friend today.
Yeah? It's okay. It's okay.
They took my ATM card.
Dude, oh my God. Well, it's okay. It's okay. It's a fine balance. We're finding balance in life. So good.
I love hearing people's stories of like being child free, and I know that's not an option. I mean, it's not like a choice for a lot of people. For most people, I think that listen to our podcast,
right?
But, you know, some people are child free not by choice; they're just don't have kids,
right?
But and if you are child free by choice, that's awesome. Like, you have that choice to be child free and to like really sit with that decision of like, hell no, really fuck them kids. So.
I'm gonna make a T-shirt that I wear, that I wear to the park. I only like my kids. I don't like kids.
You know, and I think that's the one thing that I'd be afraid of having kids is losing my identity. Because I hear that so often with mothers, and I'm like, I don't want to lose that from me. And I think that's what scares me is like I finally have this piece of myself and like I'm okay with who I am and stuff. And I know as soon as a child comes in, like your whole life changes. And I'm like, I would have to rediscover who I am, my body, like mind, soul, everything. And that's scary.
I think it takes a level of self-awareness that I feel like you have. Yeah. I feel like when I had Audrey, I didn't know who the fuck I was. Yeah. Mind you, I was 18. So, and as I got older, obviously things change, things progress. So yeah, you can lose yourself. Yeah. Because I had to find myself up to the point of like, once I had Ezra, like I knew who the fuck I was, what I expected from myself, what I wanted from myself. Do you still lose yourself along the way? Yeah, but I think it's a little easier to pull back and rein yourself back in to who you were, to find yourself all over again. And to me, it takes having that partner. I think had it not been for my husband to like remind me of like, we're not falling down the same path you did, you know, with Audrey, because I had like postpartum depression. You know, he kind of helped reel me back into that reality of like, hey, you need a break, go. Like, don't ask me twice. Like, when do you need time? Or like, he would even tell me like, hey, it's been a while. You want to go out with, you know, Gabby or Mel, whatever. And he helped me along that way. So I think like it just also takes that because not everyone is like mindful of it to know that like, hey, I need a break, or I need, or like be able to speak vocally and being like, hey, can I catch a break now? Or like, you know?
Yeah.
So I think the fear's there. I think the fear
too is like, especially with somebody like me who doesn't have kids at all, and having like a stable, healthy relationship, how a baby would affect that, or how a child would affect that. Of like, okay, I finally have this really healthy relationship. Do I want to bring a kid into this? Like, how is this going to affect that? You know? Yeah. So it can be scary sometimes when you've been through like traumatic events of relationships, and then you bring a huge responsibility in the mix, where it's like, can we stand this? Yeah. Can we handle this together? It's hard.
It is hard. Yeah.
It's a thing that goes through my mind all the time of like whether or not I want to have kids, because there's times where I'm like, no, I'm okay without kids, and there are times
because
like,
you want to be selfish with that time with just your partner. I think no one talks about that, and I think that's also that fight within me of like thinking like, did I really want to tie my tubes, or could we just have had one more? And it's that ongoing battle like between us sometimes where we're like, we could have just had one more, blah blah blah. And I'm like, but you know what, like I know after this kid, after Ezra is kind of like older, it's us time. Yeah, I want us time. I want us to just worry about like what's next for us. Yeah, where are we going from here? What's going to be our next adventure? I want to have those moments where it's just that. Yeah. And I want to be as young as possible to be able to enjoy it too.
This is gonna be so fun. I'm excited for you guys.
I'm always gonna have my kids in the back of my head. I'm always gonna be worried for them, even when they're probably out of our house and they're grown and they have their own lives. That, like, I'm still gonna worry about them, but I want to see what's next for us in our lives as like partners. Yeah. Like, I don't know, like, I'm more excited for that too, in that aspect of like what's gonna be next for us. Yeah. Now that our kids are getting older, so I think like now you have look forward to that. You know what I mean?
And that makes me excited for you guys because I experienced that. You know what I mean? So I'm like, yeah, I can't wait for you guys to experience life together, because it's just so much fun when it's just your partner and you. Yeah. And like, you don't have to have any other responsibilities, like no other kids, nothing to take care of, just you guys. And like, you can be on a road trip and like just be in silence or listening to music or having a grown up conversation without them like screaming their heads off in the backseat. Right. You know what I mean? So I like, that's something that I love for you guys. Yeah. So like, even my parents, I mean, they're not with us all the time, but there's so many people that they're like, I can't wait. Like, they tell my parents, I can't wait to be you when I grow up, because they take a lot of trips by themselves and they're, you know, together all the time and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I love that my parents do that. I love that they take time by themselves. And they've been doing that for years, since I was a kid. I mean, they got married in Vegas and didn't take us. We were born already, you know, so it's always been important for them to take that time away, that the kids aren't always priority, like number one priority for them.
Yeah, and I think that's like a really good foundation to have in general, is that like you seek first like that relationship to mend with your partner, or like work on it, because your kids will leave eventually. They'll have their own lives and not necessarily need you all the time. So that's kind of like little by little, kind of like that new,
like, you are going to be child free one day.
Yeah. I am. I'm going to look back on it. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I had a kid as a teenager, and I had my second kid, you know, in my early 20s, that I'm like, you know what? Now, fuck it. It's me time. And I'm going to be selfish with it, with my husband, like, you know? So, I don't know. That's like,
when your kids are adults and they're calling you, I'm hungry. Like, go feed yourself. Because that's what my mom tells me.
Go feed yourself.
She'd be like, "Ya, señora." Like, all right, okay, fine.
No, but I would still love for them to come like home and
Yeah.
like, you know, spend time with us. But when they're talking about like, hey, what are y'all doing? I'm not home.
Yeah.
Don't call me. I'm not home. Or I'm going to put like one of those notifications on my phone. Don't bother me.
Yeah.
Do not disturb.
Do not disturb.
We're not in the house.
That's too
So
funny.
that's the next phase in our lives that I know I'm excited for.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yay.
It'll be fun. I love it.
Alrighty. Anything else you want to add on?
No, I mean, I just appreciate everybody's responses to our polls and participating
Yeah.
in them, because that brings a lot of dialogue for us, you know, just to be able to talk about it, and also bringing us different perspectives and different feelings on the whole topic.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy that, and reading other people's perspectives, because like
same for me too.
like I can't think, I mean, I've experienced a lot of those things, but they weren't at the top of my head.
Right.
You know, they weren't at the front end of what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was more like time and them thinking I have all the free time, when I'm like, no, my free time's for me. Like, I will schedule you in.
I'll let you know.
Yeah.
How about that?
But I really enjoy that. And it's really nice to hear that there's other people who are child free like me in their 30s. That makes me feel better, because it's kind of rare out here for a girl.
Yeah. I mean, and it's because it's low key, like looked down upon. Like, let's be honest.
No, I don't look down upon it. I think it's fun.
No, but I mean, like society in general, not like for you, like just like society is like, why don't you? What's wrong with
honestly,
you?
I couldn't even think about me being a parent. I feel like I'm still a child.
I'm just a baby. I'm just a baby.
I tell my mom that all the time. I'm like, I'm just a baby. She starts laughing because like she just hears it from the TikTok
sound. Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm just a baby.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I'm a kid having a kid, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. It would be so different, but I don't know. We'll cross that path when we get there, if we get there. And if not, then we don't. We just fucking keep talking shit on this podcast.
Hey. That's what we're here for. Talk shit 24/7. I can stay talking shit.
Me too.
How about my own kids too? Damn, I could just drag them little hoes. But I still love them, okay? I still love them.
We still love them.
All right. Well, that's all.
That's all.
All right. Episode 115, bitch.
What is it?
115?
Yeah.
Yeah. With 45K downloads.
45K downloads.
Are we gonna hit 50K before our 3 years?
Y'all listen to this like on repeat for like 3 days straight.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
We gotta hit 50K before our 3 years. That would be so freaking awesome.
Send this to your friends. Send this to your friends
Tag
with kids.
us and let us know.
Send this to your child-free friends.
Ooh, to everybody.
Yeah, to everybody.
To the tias también.
Yeah.
Like, to the tias that need to mind their motherfucking business.
Yeah, of why you don't have kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck them hoes. All right.
Okay, we'll talk next time.
Bye.
Bye.